And there we go. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to those who are live here with me on the Zoom call. Welcome to those who are going to be catching this on a streaming app. And welcome to those who are going to be getting this in a replay. Today is the first Friday of the month for February's career strategy session. And I quite like the idea of this being a little bit of pocket dynamite for you. Spend an hour with me. We're going to cover 3 key strategies that I've taken from the Career Strategy Club that my club members have worked through. I'm going to end the call for everyone who isn't a club member and then keep it open for 15 minutes for those club members to engage and ask questions. But everybody here gets to benefit from having a bit of a pocket dynamite in today's strategy session. So I really want to celebrate to everyone who's signed up and registered for this, whether you're catching it live or not. You're doing something that most people don't do, and that's taking action, being committed to owning your career and taking some action to move forward. And don't underestimate the power of something very small today that's going to stack up over time and get you big results tomorrow. You know, figuring out what we want to do and reinventing our careers or revolutionizing our careers or career pivoting isn't a overnight huge big thing. It's actually small, intentional, incremental mindset shifts and action steps that stack up together. It never happens in one huge big shift overnight. It's all the work that you've done before. It's all the preparation that you've done before that then gives you that great result. So congratulations to you all for being here. So there are 3 pieces that I've picked from this month's Career Strategy Club membership that I'm going to talk through. And the first is going to be start with why, the concept of why, which originally came from Simon Sinek. The second is going to be online reputation management, just in terms of the strategy of why we need to take ownership and control of our online reputation management. And I'll share some immediate things that you can do to get some quick wins. And then the third piece I'm going to talk about is the emotions of fear and joy. Welcome to the human condition. We all experience fear. We all experience joy. And it's about harnessing those emotions to work for us. And what I mean by that is, I know that when work's not great, when you're in some form of friction in your career, there's a huge amount of fear that you might be going through. Fear of, am I ever going to be working again? Am I ever going to find nice people to work with? Am I ever going to be able to get excited about going to work? All of those emotions, they're normal. In fact, those fear-based thoughts are part of what being human is. So we all experience them. We all experience them. We all go through them. What I want to hope to share with you today is really get you to understand how to manage fear as an emotion. And then the concept of joy. I love the word joy. It just, when you say it, you actually smile. I mean, just say the word joy and it brings a smile to your face. So I think that's a good sign. But it's also about harnessing joy and bringing joy into the career strategy process, bringing joy into your work. And there are a couple of things that we'll chat about then. So without any further ado, let's jump straight into it. We've got lots to cover. So I'm going to talk through these 3 key elements. There is an active chat open, so if you want to post any questions in the moment, for those of you who are live here with me, please feel free to do so. I'll pause after each key strategy and we can discuss some of those questions that you have. At the end of talking about these 3 elements, there'll be time for some quick Q&A, which I absolutely welcome, and you're welcome to ask me anything and share where you're at. Then I'm going to close the call, and then there'll be a private section for the Career Strategy Club members, because we've gone through so much more than just these 3 strategies in this past month. The Career Strategy Club takes you through my formative process of know yourself, project yourself, connect yourself. And in each of those areas, each week, there's a whole bunch of action steps and mindset exercises for people to go through. I have just popped the link for the Career Strategy Club in the chat if anyone's interested about that, but you're here, you're in my network, you're going to get a recording of this, and you're going to get information around the club too. So let's get to it. Let's start talking about start with why. So firstly, everybody has a why. Your why can be interpreted as the purpose, your purpose, the thing that drives you. It can also be interpreted as a cause, something that you stand for. And it can also be interpreted as your beliefs, what inspires you and what you look forward to in the future of career, work, and broadly life. So much of the content that we cover in my career strategy process, in these career strategy sessions, and in the Career Strategy Club are very much career orientated, but it's life too, right? Gone are the days of us being, we go to work and then we switch off and then we have this life outside. What we do in our time at work is who we are. We bring our whole selves to our work, to our careers, and to our jobs. We're not necessarily so cut off, unless we're in a job which is simply a job for the sake of a job. It's not a part of a career and it's just serving a purpose for the here and now. Then absolutely, you're going to clock off at 5 o'clock and you're not going to be bringing your entire self to it. So it's strategies for everyone, right? So in terms of identifying your why and the importance of doing it, it's about creating a lens through which you're able to evaluate choices, take meaningful and make meaningful action, and obviously experience a deeper sense of fulfillment within your work and within your life, within everything that you do. The concept of start with why comes from Simon Sinek's Golden Circle. Now, he did a TEDx talk back in 2009, which completely revolutionized the world. And he continues to go on and revolutionize the world. He's on LinkedIn, he's online, he's everywhere. So if you don't know who Simon Sinek is and you're on this call, go Google him and find out who he is and get into his slipstream. Sign up to his newsletter and follow what he says. He ultimately is here to make the world a better place through the lens of his start with why concept. So what he talks about is that most people and organizations focus on what they do and how they do it. They don't communicate or figure out or unpack why they do it. So he uses the analogy of Apple, which is a really great analogy. Apple, as a business that has, revolutionized cell phones, laptops, TV, you name it, Apple tells you why they do what they do. They say, we challenge the status quo. They don't tell you what they do, which is making good cell phones or making good computers. And they don't tell you how they do it by having this amount of RAM and memory and cameras and da. Now think about any other cell phone company. Just let's use the cell phone business of Apple's for now. Think about any other cell phone company, Android, Samsung, you name it. They talk about what they do and they talk about how they do it, which then puts them into competing with all the other whats and hows. But because Apple talks about why they do it, we challenge the status quo, and they're able to clearly articulate their why and share that why, they develop tribe and following. And we all know that people queue up outside any Apple store globally when the latest product is about to be released. And you will find people who are absolute Apple sold out, crazies, because that is all they will believe in, and they would never go across the aisle and choose any other phone or any other laptop or anything else. So what does this mean for us in terms of our career and our brands and who we are? Well, it's about figuring out your purpose, your cause, your beliefs, and being able to articulate it and communicate it so that you can connect with the very opportunities and teams and people and places who are interested in why you do what you do, not just what and how. Because the what, everybody's got a similar what. And the how, everyone has pretty much a similar how, give or take, but the why is something completely unique to you. So just by being here today, if you've never heard of Simon Sinek and you've never heard of the understanding your why or the concept of why, you're able to start bringing to your awareness this thing called why, and how clarifying your motivations makes it more meaningful, makes it easier for you to make more meaningful choices and for you to inspire others by what your shared purpose is. So here's an example of what I mean by that, and here's something tangible and practical to do with that. One of the exercises that we worked with in the Career Strategy Club was around the concept of seeing through the eyes of others. And Simon Sinek teaches that you can understand more about your why when you see through the eyes of others. Now, one thing I'm going to say is that the concept of understanding your why and refining it takes some time. This is not a, I'm going to get this in 3 weeks or I'm going to get this overnight. Some people take a lifetime of figuring out what their why is. I don't think it needs to take that long, but you can start today just writing down on a piece of paper what your why is. What would be something that you would describe as your purpose? What are the causes that you stand for? What beliefs do you fundamentally hold? All of these things, as I said, you bring into your work environment, and it makes you stand apart from the competition or someone else when you're able to extrapolate, articulate, and talk about it. So the exercise that Simon Sinek teaches is about seeing through the eyes of others. So if you were to ask a past colleague or a current colleague a simple question, what do you think my top 3 skills are? Or what do you think my best 3 qualities are? By asking them for your top 3 skills or your best 3 qualities, you're inadvertently asking them to give you a sense of what your strengths are, but you're making it a little bit easier. You're saying, what are my top 3 skills? Or what are the best 3 things that I'm good at? You can choose the area and how you frame the question, but asking somebody, seeing through the eyes of others, and asking their opinion on what they think are your best 3 skills gives you an opportunity to start moving closer to what your why is, because that person's going to reflect on you, how they see you, how they see your strengths, how they see you react, how they see you be and perform within the world of work. And that is incredibly powerful for you to use and extrapolate. So why do we need to start with why? Because you want to align your work with a deeper sense of purpose. You want to be authentic. You want to feel fulfilled in your work. And all of those things are available to you if you're able to journey within, unlock your inner career guru, and figure out why you do what you do. Now, some of you might be listening to this and thinking, that's fantastic, but I need why I work so I can put food on the table, why I work so that I can, gain more skills to move up the corporate ladder or absolutely survive. I mean, those are on necessities, but those are quite low level in terms of the ethos of why we exist. So the concept of start with why can get us into some big existential thinking and possibly questions. But tell me this. If you were to read your LinkedIn profile or to read your CV right now, today, whatever state it's in, wherever it's at, wherever you're at in your career, is there anything there that would tell me a little bit about why you do what you do? A little bit about the causes that you stand for, the belief systems that you hold, and this thing called purpose? Now, I have a career purpose challenge that I ran in October last year. It was a free 4-day event that helped people unpack what their purpose is. Because I also don't believe that that has to be a difficult and hard process. And we've kind of been socialized into thinking that finding your purpose has to take forever and it's a long, difficult process, but it's not. Look out for a link in one of the emails that you're going to get from me that will share an opportunity to join the February Free Career Purpose Challenge. It'll be running at the end of this month, and it's a 4-day event, and I take you through the purpose formula to help unpack and get you closer to understanding what your purpose is. So there's lots of resources coming up to help you with that. But back to the question, does your LinkedIn profile or does your CV give me any indication about your why? Maybe, maybe not. And if it doesn't, start with seeing through the eyes of others. Spend your time looking at Simon Sinek and what he puts out. And if you want to go deep and you really want to uncover more about your why, then the Career Strategy Club is definitely for you, because we've just covered a whole big deep dive with a lot of resources in that. And for me, it's about starting to get the language, the clarity, and the articulation that you need to move forward in your career using this language, why you do what you do, not what and not how. So that, my friends, is the Start With Why strategy. I'm just going to check the chat. Nobody's got any questions yet. So I'm going to move on to our next piece of content in super swift space. We're kind of moving into what my process describes as the project yourself stage. So Start With Why would traditionally fall under the know yourself stage, knowing who you are and developing a career narrative around the beautiful, colorful mosaic of your career identity, not what and how you do, but why you do what you do. Now, we're going to get to project yourself stage. And as I said, we're going to cover the concept of online reputation management. Now, 2025 is serving up a whole lot of interesting things when it comes to online reputation management. What I mean by that is we may, and many of us are, on social media platforms, and there's a whole tussle with social media platforms being banned and being bought and being sold and being politicized and you name it. At the end of the day, we have no control over that. What we can control is our brand, how we show up, how we're seen, and who sees us. Now, LinkedIn, as many of you know, is the mothership of social media platforms, because the mere search engine optimization of LinkedIn is so powerful that even if you just create a profile and it's not even optimized, but you Google your name online, the first thing that's going to come up is your LinkedIn profile, because nobody can beat the search engine optimization of a platform that has now grown to 1 billion users. So for that reason alone, apart from all the other benefits of LinkedIn, LinkedIn must be the mothership. What I mean by the mothership is your LinkedIn profile, photo, headline, picture, everything that you put on LinkedIn is the first thing that comes up in your search engine optimization, whether you've planned to have that set that way or not. So make sure that your settings on LinkedIn are completely visible so that that search engine optimization is serving you. Make sure that your profile is visible, that you're not in private mode. Make sure that you've customized your URL and it's in your actual name. If you can't get your actual name, put an acronym on that URL that is as close to your actual name as possible. Maybe you have a middle name. You could put ZA at the end. You could use a number of different ways. Your LinkedIn URL, you definitely don't want to have those arbitrary numbers that LinkedIn is subscribed to you. You want to have it in your name. And that name that you create on LinkedIn, your name on LinkedIn, your URL, are your online brand names. So that has to be the same name that you use on your CV. So if you're listening to me and you go, oh gosh, I can't get Susan Smith because there's so many Susan Smiths in the world, but my middle name is Roberta, and you change your name on LinkedIn to Susan Roberta Smith, clearly that's got to be the same on your CV, because consistency builds trust, and you don't want people to stop when they see a CV that doesn't match a LinkedIn profile. But online reputation management is really about asking yourself the critical questions of, yes, you're on LinkedIn and you must be on LinkedIn, assessing all the social media channels that you are on and it's interesting. A lot of people say to me, no, Lisa, I don't do social media. And I go, really? Okay. But I see that you are on WhatsApp, right? Yeah, I love WhatsApp and I'm always updating my statuses. I'm using the status update and changing my status on weekends. Well, I'm afraid that, my friends, is social media. So WhatsApp is part of the Meta group, and yes, it's not technically a social media platform, but it's becoming that. There's WhatsApp for business. There are entrepreneurs, many of you might be buying a product or a service just from WhatsApp. So WhatsApp itself has its entire ecosystem. Technically, it's not referred to as a social media channel, but if you're on it, your profile photo is telling the world something about you and the name that you choose to use. So this segment, this strategy is about, where are you online? When last did you Google yourself? What came up? Are you maximizing your LinkedIn profile? Are you optimizing absolutely everything you can out of this super powerful tool? If not, why? And if you are, extend that strategy to all your other social media channels. And for me, it's kind of like social media right now is free. LinkedIn has a paid for version, which I highly recommend for reasons that I can go to in another conversation. But if you're not using LinkedIn in terms of its optimized in everything that it offers, there's no point paying for it. Only upgrade and use a paid premium account on LinkedIn when you really understand the platform and you're using all of the functions that it has. But here's my thing. You can get a YouTube account, a Pinterest account, a TikTok account, Facebook, Instagram, all in the handle of your name for free, right? Now, we don't know if any of that's going to change. We don't know if any of that might be monetized, if you might have to pay to have a Meta account. We don't know what's coming at us in the social media landscape. And I understand that a lot of people are moving away from social media simply because of the lack of control and the type of content and the lack of curation that's happening. I get that. I'm certainly not saying that you've got to be in all places at one, and I'm certainly not saying that it's important for you that you have to be on social media. I am saying, what is your online reputation management? When last did you look at it? If you're on LinkedIn and you're on WhatsApp, and those are the two things that you have, make sure that they're working for you. But if you've kind of been on Facebook, but you're not there anymore, and it's just for friends and family who are now around the world, you could use that to work for you in terms of personal branding and projecting yourself. So this needs you to be strategic, because ultimately, I do believe that it's not about how well we're doing social media. It's about the fact that social media is doing us. And what I mean by that is, if you were to Google your name and have a look at the results and click through to as many pages as you can. Some of us just come up on the first page. You click onto page 2 and it's, your name and someone else's surname mixed together. Some of us have many different pages of search engine optimization in our names. Social media platforms, from YouTube to TikTok to you name it, offer you the opportunity of owning your handle in your name right now for free. And I think there's something powerful about that. Well, I know there's something powerful about that. The content that I covered in the online reputation management section in the Career Strategy Club membership, we went deep with a couple of different strategies. There was also a whole bunch of stuff around leveling up LinkedIn, tips, tools, and hacks. And there was a whole bunch of resources that I was able to share with them from the LinkedIn editors, playbooks about video and so forth. And I mean, LinkedIn is an amazing, amazing resource. Purchasing the premium or paying for the premium account gives you access to LinkedIn Learning, and they are phenomenal courses and phenomenal expertise shared by people covering all sorts of things, from AI to personal branding to online reputation management to you name it. I really, really think that there's a great value and resource for, in the LinkedIn Learning element of LinkedIn on the premium section. So that's something to consider. But just kind of slowing down and backing up to online reputation management, the one action that you can take annually is to Google yourself, see what comes up, check, is your LinkedIn profile photo relevant? Is that the same photo that you're using across all other social media channels? Is it working for you? Is it not? Does it represent who you are? Are you sharing some of your why in your LinkedIn profile? And also you can rate your online reputation. You can look at it critically and go, is this pointing towards the future of where I want to go? Is my online brand facing the future and indicating what I want to look for? Or am I standing representing the past? In other words, have I got all the keywords and all the job descriptions and all the things about what and how I do, but it's everything that I want to move away from? That's something to consider. And that's what you have control over. And you can manage that and you can do that easily yourself. So online reputation management, here's a really important tool that I want to share with you. You're going to Google yourself and you're going to screen print those results and save it on a Word document or a Google document and put 7th of February, Google results for my name. You'll see that your LinkedIn profile comes up first. You're going to make sure that your LinkedIn URL is customized in your name, and your name on LinkedIn is the same name that you would have on your CV. And you're then going to spread that out to other social media channels to make sure that your online brand, just with these small tweaks of piggybacking off LinkedIn and other social media channels, represents you, and you're protecting your good name. Does that make sense? Does that sound like something that's quick, fast, and doable? Absolutely. Does that feel like it's a little bit of pocket dynamite in your pocket today? Absolutely. And you can do that. More advanced levels of online reputation management, more advanced levels of going deep diving into how you're showing up and how you're seen is about replicating everything that you say on LinkedIn, the mothership for your online brand, across all these other social media channels. I have got every single social media channel except the platform formerly known as Twitter, which is now X, and Mariam Tam beautifully calls it in the nice Kosa way, because it's now owned by somebody who was an ex-South African. And the only reason why I decided to, well, I'm there, I just removed, I'm not actively there. So I've still got it in my name, but I just don't create content there. Okay, I've got a question here. Zandria, totally doable, yes. Only tricky part is people with the other surname and surname already have your handle, so the handle can't be the same as your name. That is a problem, but then what is the name that you use on LinkedIn? So is there a middle name that you can use? Can you put the initials of a middle name, or can you use an acronym at the end of your name? So it's about getting a bit creative and using what's relevant in your name to customize those social media platforms. The fact that right now you're unable to do it because somebody else has a similar surname with a similar handle simply means that you can create a new online name of your choosing that you then pull through on LinkedIn. So don't use numbers, don't use something obscure. A good thing, you could use surname, you could use middle name, you could use initial, you could use title, Miss, Ms, Mr., you could do that. You could use ZA, which is the acronym for South Africa. You could use your city, JHB or what have you, or there are a number of different things that you can use. And if you battle with this, I'm happy to help. Just drop me a DM on LinkedIn. But just because somebody else has your handle doesn't mean that you shouldn't change yours. It means that you should change yours and you should update it to something that's customized across all of them. So that is a great question. Zandra, just having a quick look around. No other questions. The other thing about social media, I'm referring to online reputation management, and that involves social media. But the one thing to consider about social media is that there is no shallow end. We're either on it in the full deep end or not. So part of online reputation management and securing your handle is also to be conscious and intentional about, if you're on Facebook and you like to post pictures to connect with family around the world and it's private, then actively make it private. Make sure that your settings are completely private. Make sure that you can either change your handle to being in your name so people can see you, but your profile is private, and make sure that it is actually private. Don't kind of wishy-washy, half be there and not check. It's important to do that. Every single place that you are on online, it's important to analyze it, to audit it, look at it, who you connected with. I don't really spend time focusing on deleting people or anything like that. It's just about setting up that visibility with that platform. And think of it this way. Think of your online brand as building a house. The front entrance of your house is your LinkedIn profile, because that's what everyone's going to drive by and everyone's going to see first. So that's going to be the sign, the front entrance, the door, the pathway, the you name it, all of that, the exterior of the house. Then the top left window is going to be Facebook, and then the top right window might be Instagram, and then the bottom left one might be WhatsApp, and then you might have a kind of garage driveway section, and that's Pinterest. All of these platforms are places for people to engage and interact with you, in the analogy of a house on a very busy street that a lot of people are driving past. Now, they're either going to look at it and see straight through into your bathroom. I mean, that's a scary analogy, but it's true. Some people have wide open, exposed profiles, and anybody can connect with them and anybody can see anything that they've posted about. Or they're going to see a really interesting, enticing, and exciting home brand analogy that they want to stop and connect with. So online reputation management is what you can control and what you must do. Okay, let's move swiftly along to the last section of today's strategy session, which is fear and joy. Now, in the Career Strategy Club for this month, the catalysts of fear and joy actually came under the Connect Yourself stage because it's highly, highly relevant. Many of us have lots of concerns, fears about reaching out and connecting with people, and many of us are not sure how to express the things that we enjoy, how to speak to strangers about the things that we love to do and what brings us joy within our career and our passion and our purposes and so forth. So there were two catalysts that I shared there, but for us today, the concept of fear and joy is to, one, bring it to your attention, and just, I'd love everybody on this call to give me a metric. Think about the emotion of fear. Think about it. I mean, we all have fear. We're all human. Fear is part of the human package. Like, this is not about I'm going to beat my fear or fight my fear, because I don't believe that's possible. It's about acknowledging that we will have times of fearful feelings and not letting fear control our career strategy. So in the concept of fear, I'd love to just ask for those of you who are on the call and listening in the replay, just have a think about the emotion of fear and give yourself a metric of how well you feel you are managing it, or how well do you feel that, or is fear managing you? So have a think about the concept and the emotion of fear, and give yourself a score 1 out of 5. 1 being, I know that I get fearful sometimes, but I'm managing it. 5 being, I'm certainly not in control of it at all, or it's in control of me. And while you're thinking about this metric, I love encouraging people to create metrics and measure yourself, because what gets measured improves. So today, on the 7th of February, if you've got a 5 out of 5 metric for fear, which means that it's like, no, fear is a debilitating thing in my career and it's holding me back from opportunities, then write it down, because by next month's career strategy session, which will be the first Friday in March, you can go back to that metric and you can measure it and you can see how is it improved. It's all about big complex things like fear and joy is about managing a relationship to them in small little action steps and mindsets that we take every single day. And it's important to consider fear in this way. And here's the action step that I'd like to share with you, because somebody bravely shared fear is something that paralyzes them to not being able to take action. So consider fear as some part of you. We all have fear, we all have joy, we all have excitement, anger, all of these emotions. We're complex human beings, and fear is part of the package of being human. So imagine you're having a conversation with that fearful part of you, and you say to fear, you say to her, you're necessary and you're important, because you stop me from crossing the road if it's too busy. You stop me from jumping up a tree if it looks a little bit unstable. Fear is an important part of keeping us safe. However, fear doesn't get to be in our career strategy process. She doesn't get to be in the decision-making engine room of making decisions about who we connect with and what we do on LinkedIn and da-da-da-da-da. Fear is not welcome in that room. She's important. We value and we respect her, but we need to ask her to exit the career strategy room and rather invite creation, ambition, possibility, imagination, and your curiosity. So on a piece of paper right now, you're going to write down fear. You're going to put a big circle around her or him, and you're just going to say, thank you, fear, for keeping me safe, but you're not welcome in my career strategy. And write it down, because writing it makes it real. Have that conversation with her in your mind, or him. And then underneath that circled fear where you say, thank you, but you're not welcome, you're going to write down all the qualities that you do want to invite. Possibility, imagination, curiosity, strength, excitement, purpose. Just fill the page with all of the words that come to you. There is no right or wrong. This is you. This is your process. This is your career strategy, and you're unlocking your inner career guru. But fill that page with the words, that qualities that you're inviting, intentionally inviting into your career strategy process. And that will help to start giving you a sense of being in control of fear rather than letting fear control you. But also know this, fear is necessary. Fear often shows up to give us some information. So if you're feeling specifically fearful about a certain activity or a certain thing or a conversation or something you need to do, pause and notice, what is it that's bringing up a lot of fear for me right now? And write it down, because what gets measured improves. Is it having to post something on LinkedIn? Is it having the conversation with a senior manager about salary reviews? Is it in an interview process? Like, exactly what are the circumstances that's bringing up the most amount of fear for you? Know what it is so that you can work with that, so that you can bring support to yourself and bring in mentors, coaches, career strategists who need to help you around that particular thing. When fear steps in the room, it's because you need extra support. So you're going to firstly say, fear, thanks for stepping in the room. You're not needed now. Time to exit. Please wait outside. You're going to make sure that all the other qualities are there, but you're going to make a note and go, fear always shows up when I need to talk about this or when I need to do that. That is big data that you have a handle on managing and understanding and controlling. So I hope That absolutely helps. It's very, very important. I want to share one other thing with regards to fear, and it comes from the guy Tim Ferriss. Some of you may or may not know him, but he wrote the book, The 4-Hour Workweek. And if you Google Tim Ferriss and you Google fear setting, he's going to share a whole bunch of stuff. There's actually a YouTube where he talks about fear setting and the concept of we are socialized into setting our goals. We talk about planning our goals, goal setting, but we never do it in the concept of fear setting. So what he teaches is you write down all of the fears that you might have around your career strategy, around things that might be holding you back. And then you set those out with, what if I were to do this? What would be the consequences if I were able to move past this fear? What if I allowed this fear to hold me back? I don't have the conversation. I don't post that on LinkedIn. I don't negotiate my salary. What are the consequences then? So it's kind of like scenario setting, where you're playing this game of setting scenarios for, if I allow fear to stay in the room and stop me from doing this, paralyzing me from taking action, what's going to be the consequence? It's either this or it's either that. And that whole process is design strategy. It's design strategy around the emotion of fear in the context of your career. And my friends, very few people do this. Very few people show up to calls. Very few people commit to taking the action, learn about a new mindset, and then follow through. And my question to you is, can you follow through on all of these ideas between now and the first Friday in March, where we'll have another career strategy session? You hold yourself accountable. You plan a process of taking yourself through these 3 key strategies. And yes, you can. You can do it. Very quickly, I haven't spoken about joy, and I said we'd speak about the concept of fear and joy. And joy, as I said, is that beautiful emotion. When you just say the word joy, you end up smiling. So it's so great. Joy is the thing that fuels our passion. It's the thing that makes us want to keep doing the work that we do. So here's a piece of an action step that you can take. Everyone can take immediately. In the Career Strategy Club, there were a whole bunch of resources around joy, joy spotting, unpacking your joy, finding out more about joy. There were books and resources and lots of links there. But here's something small that everybody can do. In addition to the work in the club for my members, and in addition for somebody who's not in the club. What is it? Answer this question to yourself. Write this question down. What is it that brings me joy? What brings me joy? Just write that question down. Simple, but complex. Easy, hard. Maybe yes, maybe no. Those aren't the questions. Can you do it? Yes. Can you figure it out? Yes. What brings me joy in my work? As I said, everything that we do in the Career Strategy Club and the Career Strategy sessions, it's about who we are. So it's about life as a whole. But yes, specifically, what brings me joy in my work? Write the question down and then answer it. Fill that page with as many different things that come to you. There is no right or wrong. There is no perfect answer. Just fill the page. It's what you know. It's you're tapping into your inner career guru by accessing this information. And you might need to leave it for a bit, and then you need to revisit this question next week. And then you possibly need to revisit this question the following week, and then the following, and then the following. And if you make a commitment to simply just say, what brings me joy in my work? And you write down everything that comes to you without editing it, without being too judgmental, and without being critical, you're going to end up with what? A whole bunch of amazing things that you do that bring you joy. So my next stage to that would be, how can you make sure that you do enough of these things in the day? Can you weave these things into everything that you do in your day, every hour of the day, or at least every day, or every other day? Measure how much of the stuff that brings you joy are you actually able to do. And I know very much for some of you, Answering that question right now might be hard as nails because you're in a space or place or in an environment that is so anti-joy that you can't think of anything that brings you joy. That's where you're going to really lean into curiosity, imagination, and possibility, and you're going to think of a time that you were doing something that did really bring you joy. So just because your environment or the current job doesn't bring you joy, doesn't mean that you can't access that inner wisdom and knowledge that you have within you to try to unlock what are the things that I do that brings me joy. And by knowing them and identifying them, you can invite more of them into your world. You can do more of them. And if you're doing more of something that brings you joy, you're going to enjoy it. You're going to do it really well. You're going to be an expert. This is going to be part of your genius zone. And all of that ripples around you. People notice, people see it. Now, what I mean by that is, have you ever in the history of the world observed somebody who's been doing something that just gives them sheer joy? Whether they're gardening, whether they're swimming, whether they're working on a laptop, whether they're drinking coffee, whether they're dancing. Have you ever watched somebody do something that just brings them such a sense of joy and satisfaction in the act of what they're doing, whether they're cooking, whether they're eating, whether they're whatever it is? We all have. We've all been that person doing certain things. And how do we feel when we observe that? We feel a great a surge of energy, a great excitement for this person, watching what they're doing. It might encourage us to get up and go and dance, or it might encourage us to go and play in the sand or swim or spend time doing the thing that they're doing. That essence of them being so in their joy spot and doing something that brings them such joy is magnetic, and it ripples outward. Imagine you being that person in your work every day. Imagine colleagues, clients, managers, people around you, whether you're working for yourself, working for a company, whether you're contracting, whether you're permanent, it doesn't matter about the what. Imagine that why. Imagine you being so filled with that feeling and that experience of being so joyful in the moment of what you're doing that everyone watches you going, oh, what is she doing? I want to do that. What is he doing? I want to do that. Look how excited he is. Is it possible? Absolutely yes. Just because you haven't done that doesn't mean that you can't. So spend time thinking about what brings you joy. Write it down. Know it. And if it's hard to figure out, this is exactly the work that you need to do. Anything that's hard, anything that I've said in this last hour, in this strategy session that's made you feel, ugh, this is a pointer of the work that you need to do. And if you want more resources, you've got me here. You've got me for the Career Strategy Club at an investment of $120, which we worked out in rands is 2,200 Rand. And that's for 3 months. That's a one-time membership you pay for 3 months. And each month we cover Know Yourself, Project Yourself, and Connect Yourself. And then there's a strategy session, and there's digital resources and downloads, and there's many, many, many things. And in fact, for my club members who've been part of the club from October, their 3 months is coming up. And if they're going to extend, they get access to 3 bonuses. And the first bonus I told them about is an opportunity to curate and hand pick the content that they want to see in the next 3 months. And this bonus applies to anybody who's going to be joining the club in the month of February. You would have the opportunity to handpick the content. The second bonus is you will have my eyes on your LinkedIn profile to help you with a customized LinkedIn profile review. And the third bonus is I will offer you a specific relationship mapping tool to help identify and connect with the very people that you need to connect with. Now, this is a tool that I've developed recently in my work. It's a relationship mapping tool, which is very exciting, and you will have that along with the bonus of a customized LinkedIn profile review and the opportunity to pick the type of content that you want over the next 3 months to ensure that you're fully supported and that you have everything that you need. So for those of you who've joined us just for the career strategy session today, our time has come to an end, just on the hour. I absolutely am available to take a couple of questions. And if anybody has anything that they want to share or ask with me, I encourage you to do so straight away. I am going to close the recording of the call in a moment, and exit those members, those people who are on the call who are not part of the membership, the Career Strategy Club, to allow access to anybody who has questions from the club. But thank you, thank you, thank you to all of you. Thank you for being brave and courageous to do this kind of work. Thank you for being strategic, and thank you for getting focused. Know that simply by showing up here today, you're ahead of many, many other people who might not be using their time as strategically as you are. So I wish you well. I wish you all the best. You know where to find me if you have any questions, if you'd like to inquire about any of my processes. But the Career Strategy Club is a very exciting low-ticket membership, which I'm offering, and it's where you get all of the resources to be able to shift and move you forward, because big ideas for careers start small, and they start here. So thank you to everyone. Have a wonderful, wonderful week ahead and month ahead. And we'll see you in the next career strategy session, first Friday of the month in March. Thank you and goodbye.